case you're wondering why I have a placeholder name, it's because to make a name, I need character art.
I understand. Okay, so escapee from Black Ops Project, experiments, hacker helping out, your fates now being tied together, hacker being able to provide some fake IDs. Although I would still expect that you try not to get into trouble, as in you never know if a patrol is led by somebody that is in the know and like might have access to like databases, and because I imagine like after Zach's character, there might be like occasional like flyers or announcements on the extranet or on the like local network that if you see this person, obviously it's looking slightly different, maybe different hair color and whatnot. I mean,
I found my character art.
I mean, no. You have Cymex in the game, in the Star Citizen number game, but
I'm not one of them.
yeah. Although if at some point in the future you would want to play, because I still have like more ideas for side stories like these mini campaigns. You were not able to play that one shot that I played with like 2 people, maybe because neither one of us were fluent in English, and the 2 players I played with, they were nice, but I think their English skills were slightly lower than mine.
I mean, you have better English skills than a lot of Americans I've met, so.
Yeah, but I mean, side stories for like
I live in America.
Like mini campaign for like a mech base, that's also on the tables, but we'll see where the future, what the future will bring us.
But one of my favorite characters I've ever played. Do you remember that Game of Thrones one shot we did, Matt?
Yeah, I remember it.
Oh, that was so much. I mean, I played a Game of Thrones one shot with Uni system. That was very.
Did I do that with Matt or Simon? I forget.
I was there as well.
I don't remember.
Was it all 3 of us?
Maybe all 3 of us.
Where I played the bastard that was the mercenary.
I only remember.
Everyone hated me.
I only remember that it was Game of Thrones settings, but mechanics it was Uni system, I'm pretty sure. And I remember that one shot I played, that from the fact that I managed using cinematic rolls to decapitate 3 guys in one strike.
It was for a Roll20 event.
Yeah, it was the what, Aerocon?
I think so.
Yeah, but, it was there when I got the my first actual hardcover Pathfinder book.
Yeah, I think I got Savage Worlds from that.
So that mercenary was one of my favorite characters because everyone hated me, but agreed. Like everyone hated the character, but agreed that I was playing it great. It's like, man, this guy's an asshole, but you are making us like love to hate this asshole.
Yeah, that's how it should work. Like, hate the character, do not hate the player. Because if you hate the character, that makes sense. Assuming you made character to be hated.
Oh yes, I mean, especially since I betrayed the party, double-crossed the people I betrayed the party to, double-crossed the party again, and then somehow it was able to, like, the guy was basically done with me at this point, but he was expecting me to, like, he was going to double-cross me at this point, and so I just shot him in the face with an arrow. Like, one-shot him with a crit.
Yeah, that was...
And basically worked my way up to get the biggest bonus I could in the shitty situation.
Yeah, I vaguely recall what you were doing, and yeah, it was fun.
God, I love playing evil characters.
Okay, so just reiterate and confirm. Essentially, yeah, Wedge joined, like what is part of the rebellion, or rather fledgling rebellion, like wants to start shit because yeah, he's sympathizing to the oppressed. He's sympathizing with the oppressed, like the Zack's character is oppressed and hunted by the government, and
Alright, I got two pictures I'm looking at. One's a punk dude with blue mohawk. The other is like an anime chick with like a psionic sword. Both are very good art. I am leaning towards the punk dude.
it's really your call. I mean, the picture would have to be like really not making any sense, like the Psy Titan, for me to just say nope. But if it's like a humanoid character, I pretty much leave it in the hands of the players. Okay, that's a nice picture for the pilot. No, I saw the picture that Simon picked for Wedge, and it's nice.
Yeah.
It works.
Oh, I'm the pilot. That's my background as pilot. Well, tell you what, I don't have a name yet, but I can start on that because there's my picture once it's done uploading.
Oh. Okay, yeah, that's positively rebellious look.
That's what I was thinking. Like, we probably live in the part of town that the patrols don't go to.
Perhaps some kind of shithole, like more of a slums area or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, it's not like they are never here, because after all,
Well, yes.
you are ruled by a tyranny, so they expect to be able to go anywhere they want and do whatever they
But
want.
it's the place they have to send in the SWAT team for a normal patrol.
Yeah, that would make sense. And then I immediately get not recollection, reminded of that Los Angeles district, or how do you say that in English? Like the part of the city where they have to send SWAT teams if they go in, like the police presence go in. Like I think it's
Like, I imagine they basically just like have like an armored truck or like a flying tank or something that they use, but like it's significantly more expensive to patrol this district, so they have more power for patrols, but probably less patrols.
Yeah, that works too. And obviously, this is also the case that if like the member of the tyranny, like the member of the government, or just the people that benefit from the system are attacked, obviously not every rank is similar. So if a paper pusher, like member of the government, like lower rank, gets attacked, then yeah, they will start investigating and whatnot, but it wouldn't be that severe repercussions. But if, like in this bad district, like a patrol gets attacked, or god forbid APC gets destroyed, or like the vehicle like there's a lot of damage, yeah, the situation will keep escalating. Like they will like bring the hammer down hard, because this is tyranny, so collective punishment, like injustice, is completely possible. Just mass, maybe not artillery bombardment because of how the architecture works, but just pumping the vents with gas, with nerve gases. That's an option if they get angered and desperate enough. Okay, I'm trying to think what else in regards to your characters. I know there will definitely be 2 questions for the players, but that's mostly in regards to the wider context and like the situation as a whole, and in regards to the fledgling revolution. Oh well, maybe we'll go to that, and if either I or you will remember that they should mention or ask about something, then we can do that. So yeah, 2 things. First one, and this is like the questions for the players, and this will determine like the goal, that when you achieve the goal, that's the end point for this mini campaign, like to so that you are completely certain, completely sure and know that. And basically the question is like, what's the goal of your actions? Like, what event in your minds will serve as an ignition to the revolution? Which event will spark the revolt and mass civil disobedience? It can be stuff. It's completely up to you. It can be stuff, as I said, like assassinating planetary governor, sabotaging like large military complex, like something
I'd
that.
say it has to be similar to this, like similar to both, but not quite. Like assassinating the governor, like important step, it'll be effective, but I don't feel like that's enough to start it, and I don't think attacking a military site, while would definitely be useful, would also be the start. I feel like it'd be destroying something like symbolic. Like,
Yeah.
don't assassinate the governor, blow up his fucking house. Like, take
Or
out the governor's palace.
or if he has some giant golden statue of himself, tear down that.
Mm-hmm. Or
Or
take the main spaceport out of commission.
or if he holds an enormous scandal of himself, expose that.
Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like just killing the guy wouldn't do much, but if we made it symbolic enough.
No. We need to have the people hate him before we can remove him.
I mean, I think they already hate him, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
essentially it's the case that the tyranny is not liked or loved, but there is not much that many people can do about it, because they have means. Sometimes they are not working as intended, but usually, as I said, I imagine that some forms of repression and control, kind of like what Combine was doing in Half-Life. So as I mentioned at the start, like drugging, controlling people through like drugs and making them docile. And just general fear of the secret police, the over seemingly omnipresent, uh, air quotes, inquisition.
But like that'd be like a symbolic thing, like go take out the headquarters of the secret police, go take out the facility that's producing and distributing this drug.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's
Like figure out
doable.
the information on the drug, release it to the public, take out the facility. Would be a good one.
Okay, I mean, yeah, you can expect that the governor or just the government, these tyrannical overlords who benefit from the system, they are swimming in riches. They have like fucking mansions out of the wazoo. They occupy the highest levels of the spires of these mega cities, and they
That's
just
one. Take out the highest spire.
like look at everyone below them as ants, as worthless
Mhm.
gnats that live only for their pleasure and enjoyment. Yes, slavery is a thing. Actually, the tyrants basically see all of you as slaves, but the difference is that some of you don't actually have shock collars on you. So there's like a different varying forms and degrees of slavery that are involved. But yeah, human trafficking, people getting just pulled from the streets for absolutely no fucking reason. Kidnappings, some random just kill teams being sent to a specific house or a building complex and just shooting people up for who knows what they did. Yeah, it's rough. Okay, so generally going towards the idea that destroying a symbol, destroying a building in a big, like something very truly spectacular, and using shock and awe. Okay, so I will remember that. And examples of that stuff might include, yeah, the drug distribution or production center, which probably might be like a part of just general medical complex, or just a facility for just general chemical stuff. Okay.
I'd say the governor's palace is always a good target.
Yeah.
And this is like, you mentioned they have like buildings and stuff, but this is like his normal place of residence and like the place that he rules the planet from, that kind of stuff. So it also happens to be the central government of the planet.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. As I said, they are swimming with riches, so this, at some part it might look like a government building, but on the other it's just like a fucking mansion that screams, yeah, I'm rich,
Yeah.
I'm the boss here, motherfucker.
I say that we should get one of our own elected and have him organize a mob to storm the Capitol building. I mean, what?
Mansion / spire.
Yes,
People
let's
said
all-
20, and see, people said 2021 would be better. Took him 6 days.
To be fair, I got the idea specifically because of this mini campaign, but there is a focus specifically for inciting riots. I think I called it, it's New Foci Part 3, it's position 25, called Revolutionary Firestarter. To be fair, there are skill requirements for this, so that you need level 1 lead
Yeah.
and level 1 sneak before you can take it. Alright, so... okay, it reminded me of that character from DC. Oh, Android Ivo, yeah, that one. No, wait, Android was Amazo, Ivo was his creator. Mixed that up.
I actually picked it because it's the name of my psyker from the Black Crusade game I played.
What Crusade?
Black Crusade.
Black Crusade. Warhammer, okay.
Yeah, Chaos.
Yeah, I know that one.
Evil Side.
Didn't have a chance to play it yet, but yeah, I know the system. I have the books. Okay, so we have the goal, and yeah, one more thing, because obviously we are not starting the mini campaign that this is the first day that you guys, okay, we're gonna start the revolution, what do we need? But perhaps some of your plans have been going for some time. Maybe you are sending a word or like trying to get a feel of the land. And essentially the question is, what do you start with? And by that I mean, have you perhaps, one option, have you perhaps managed to secure, using your abilities somehow, a crate of equipment, so that you actually manage to steal or basically somehow manage to get a crate of equipment that would be, for you like yeah, that could be TL4, because normally like and by that I mean like armors or equipment. That's one option. Second option is that perhaps you have contacts and allies that you've already spent some time talking with your fellow people, trying to convince them to join your cause, to make them believe that even if this will all end terribly, it is still worth fighting instead of prolonging this terrible existence. Or maybe contacts, allies, equipment, or what could be another option? I need to think for a moment, but essentially this is like a sort of like a starting boon that you already have something, you don't have anything, this is merely a piece of the puzzle, but you don't start completely from the scratch.
Since I'm not entirely sure what tier 4, tech 4 equipment would involve, I would pick contacts instead.
Essentially, just to before I explain answers, to explain the tech level. For example, for combat, if you went for tech level 4 stuff, like guns, that means you have like better chances of actually injuring enemies. Because, for example, if you have tech level 3 and your enemies have, give me a moment, where are the armors? For example, if by some mistake or for some reason your characters face against an enemy that has not combat, powered armor. Powered armors are described on page 65. So like assault suit, store armor, so like basically like a space marine exo like skeleton or something similar. And you have tech level 3 gun, so like your usual kinetic weapon, you cannot damage them because powered armors, yeah, someone wearing this armor is immune to primitive melee weapons, unarmed attacks, and any firearm or grenade scale explosive of tech level 3 or less. So to actually damage someone that has power armor, you need tech level 4 weapon to do that. Obviously, depending on what you want to do, there is an option to like get that during this mini campaign. Ivo doesn't have a problem because he's a telekinetic and he has telekinetic armory. That means he can conjure weapons with his mind, and these weapons are treated as tech level 4 weaponry. Also, as I started thinking about another boon, I thought that another option would be something like that because you are good with technical stuff and hacking, then maybe the boon is that you have prepared several forged identities and you also managed to forge access papers, as in you have more freedom of movement to conduct your operations.
That would also be good to have. What do you think, Zach?
Obviously, that wouldn't mean that you would be able to get into a heavily secured military base, but for example, those forged passes would definitely ease up the situation if you tried to move between cities. That would really ease up the transit.
It will give us more targets.
I would suggest.
Or maybe if you have your other ideas, then I'm also fine to listen to them because
I am leaning towards contacts myself.
Yeah, either contacts or forged identities. But I say we go with contacts on this one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so through your lives, several weeks, maybe months preceding the start of this mini campaign, you have carefully, of course, because one of you is a hunted man and the other is his accomplice, uh, you've put an ear to the ground, listened to what people are saying, tried to figure out who is actually trustworthy and who can be talked about, some dangerous ideas that you might have. You maybe like identified some people that seem more resistant to what they are being fed, that even though they are kinda maybe not weakened, but basically they are slightly affected by the drugs and chemicals, but they still, there's this anger simmering in them, that you managed to identify several people like that. And actually, okay, never mind. Hmm. I'm wondering. You can like throw ideas who these like, not all of them, but if you have like an idea or two like who these NPCs might be, then you can throw them my way. I will just like figure out some other guys that might be your allies.
So we ended up going with contacts that might not even be members of our group, but we might have like illegal contacts and stuff too.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Especially since, well, one of you is a hacker in the first place, so there might be like places that, obviously using proper equipment.
Basically, a small community of I don't know.
I was mostly going with the idea that there are like dark web societies, like small dark web
Yeah,
communes that, you know, all trying to use Tor or whatever devices to hide your location and whatnot, because obviously the local network is monitored all the time. And maybe because you have like this illegal contacts, then obviously you can try to lean on them to get you stuff or spread the message, spread the word, and whatnot. Uh, or if during the game, if we will, if it will happen that we will meet an NPC or something, then we can decide that, yeah, actually this guy, yeah, you know him, he's one of your contacts and whatnot. As for the contacts, I would uh, try to limit uh, try to limit mm, oh my god, what I'm getting at, basically if you want a guy that's double agent, that's inside the administration, obviously not like a high rank but like medium to low rank member of the government, but he's actually also sympathizing, I am fine with that, but I would limit the guy, like limit to only one person, like one contact like that, because my headcanon, unless you strongly disagree, is that if people in the government benefit, if there's somebody that benefits from the system, then as long as they benefit from it, the benefits really outweigh any like any desire to rebel against that. Because why would I rebel against a life that I have? Because the life that I have is really damn good. So I don't know if you are fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a moment. I'm trying to figure out if I'm forgetting something really important. We know your characters, we know their backgrounds, how they came together. We know what they have so far. Mechanical stuff was also discussed and decided on. Am I missing something obvious?
Probably.
Yeah, but what exactly? Yeah, but then
We'll find out when we hit it.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't ask if I knew.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm saying probably, but we'll find it when we hit it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think to embed the characters into the situation, I might ask like one more question. Basically, if you were to describe your usual day, like how do you like? Oh, actually, before that, because we partially touched upon this topic when we were discussing, for example, how do you get your pilot skill. But to expand on this idea, on this topic, basically the question is like, how do you imagine, like obviously not every hour is spent on planning the revolution, but how do you imagine like your character, what does it do as a cover? Like what's his civilian cover? What does he do for a living if, like for example, patrol stops him and ask, or if they are like inspected, like what they are doing?
I did like the idea of being a sort of taxi driver or Uber driver.
Yeah, that sounds fine with me.
Yeah, so basically, for Wedge, it would be something akin to being a taxi driver or a chauffeur, where he basically uses a forged identity as Biggs, the everyday regular taxi driver.
Probably also help us have a reason to be going around the city.
Mm-hmm. Nobody pays attention to the cabbie driver.
I watched Sherlock. I understood that reference. Unless you were referring to something else.
No, I was mentioning that.
Okay, but obviously with the caveat, because you picked contacts, not like forged access codes and whatnot. So you are like the cabbies operating inside like a. It can be the biggest city, because if your target is the governor, then obviously the governor's spire, the mansion, is in the like the biggest megalopolis out of
Mhm.
the settlements. So you can operate inside of that. Obviously, there are also sections of the city, especially where the military folk, where the high-ranking officials live. Obviously, in the higher parts of the cities, higher levels, that are well restricted. Obviously, that's well, that are they are like security checks. They are like verifying your background. So like the verifying that, hey, we don't need to use that taxi company to like transportation, we have our own and stuff like that. But yeah, that definitely provides a cover for your operations. And I kind of want to introduce like one of the NPCs as Roman, as the taxi company
I mean,
owner.
I was about to say, like, honestly, the taxi company we work for could even be a front for like some for
Yeah.
someone else. Like the space mafia. I don't know.
So
Yeah,
Roman.
the taxi company being like a front from like a smuggling operation.
Yeah, it's just like we're on the legit side of it, but like just so happens that they are also the front of like something illegal.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Taxi company. Drivers, helpers, front for criminal smuggling activity. Also, I was reminded of another thing. In terms of language, you can basically assume that every character speaks common / mandate, which is like the either English, something like English, or just amalgamation of languages that formed into like a single like common language that everybody who lived under the Terran mandate and was human used, like knows and uses. And you can also decide that you can decide that either the planet speaks just common, and common is like mandate, or that your people, before they were conquered and as a part of their culture, they have their own language. You can it can be like you can decide it's like one of the real life languages and say, for example, that it's like Neo-Russian or whatever, or Neo-Nordic, or you can just call it like your own language, but like basically call it just the language of your planet if you want to.
Hmm.
Hmm.
We can stick with common, and that's fine. It's
Uh,
just wanted to give
I
you
actually kind of like the idea of
an option.
conquered natives, like not natives, but you know what I mean. Like there was another nation here, and so we were just trying to bring back that independent planet
Yeah. I mean, generally,
instead of it being a colony of
this is a fight
said
for independence,
whatever. Yeah.
to overthrow the government and make the faction, the High Sky, to just fuck off. Yeah, because I didn't mention that before, but you can assume that as a part of the repressions and control, the like cultural differences and whatnot, they are being squashed, and your people are trying to be brought like in the line on every aspect. Okay, so just one question, like, do you want this language your own to like be based on like one of the real life languages, or just call it that this is like the language of your planet, and just don't specify
how close along to Stars Without Number lore is your sector lore? Like, did the Scream happen? Was there the Golden Age of Humanity? All that bullshit.
The main campaign, as it happens after the silence. So they started the campaign normally, so on January year 3000, or rather 3200. And this mini campaign happens about 1 month or 2 months before the start of the main campaign. So like November, October, year of 20.
Still,
29.
I was just making sure it was still that. Then we could have our own regional. I'll leave that up to Simon for fluff stuff. If he wants it to be an Earth language or a regional language.
I would say
could just be American. The language is American.
or Spanish.
That's just what it's devolved to.
The only reason I
Why?
threw Russian and Nordic is because of the planet's climate. The only reason.
Yeah. I would say thick Slavic accent.
Nico, my cousin, let's go bowling.
Let's go bowling, bowling, bowling.
Okay.
Oh fuck! Now I need to link that song.
So like.
No, you do not have to.
Something more Eastern European, East Slavic oriented. Okay.
Kislev reporting in.
Native language. Okay. Okay, and I think the second question I was going at, apart from the first one, like how you're civilian cover, second question would be basically trying to like better establish characters and like give like a starting point for your other activities. How your usual day would look like, assuming that, well, nothing too extraordinary happens, or you don't get a surprise raid by the secret police or something like that. Actually, now I think about it, I should have asked about something else to like continue the criminal element. So if you don't mind me, I'm to ask about like the taxi company being upfront from the criminal smuggling activity. It's really up to you. Like, do you want it to be like a convenient patsy and good cover, or maybe like a potential future ally, the criminal element that can be turned, or like do you want this to be for your characters like a slight complication in the background that sometimes you want to do your own stuff, but like a mafioso, like a member of the Russian mafia will come by and say that you need to deliver this stuff. Like, essentially, in the shortest possible term, I'm asking like, do you want this criminal part of the taxi company be like a important element of your like game and what's going on with your characters, or this is more like a background stuff that can be used in a convenient manner for you?
I'd say we use them as a patsy.
I don't think that's quite an answer. Basically, do you want it to actually be important? Like, do you want it to be we have to deal with these criminal elements sometimes? Or more just
It it might come up every now and then. So I'd say yes.
all right.
Basically, my question was like to ensure to put a limit so that this element doesn't take away the focus from the primary thing, which is the planning and ensuring that the revolution might start.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think I need to write that on the handout that fuck it, I'm the owner of the taxi company. Fuck it, it's canon. I'm calling him Roman. Because just like it just works. Okay, so now returning to my previous question. Yeah, just like how do you imagine for your characters like what their usual day looks like, and that can include illegal activities, just like how to give me and also to yourself like a slightly expanded idea like how your lives are looking in like the most basic frame.
I'd say for a large part of it, Ivo probably tries to stay as low as possible. So, like, besides driving the cab, he probably mostly just, like, spends his time in, like, whatever shithole renting and, like, sleeping there. Like I probably have, like, what few physical books actually exist.
Yeah, paper is not common. Usually the
But
knowledge and data is in like compads and whatnot, but I imagine
but, like, I probably have,
can.
like, compad books, but not, like, anything on the net.
Yeah, I mean that works too. I mean, I imagine that because there are some worlds that are not technologically advanced, so I imagine like paper might still exist, and there might be some paper copies of stuff. So
That and
that's fine.
anyone that doesn't keep paper records is an idiot. But that's a different matter. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, backups and stuff are important, but, like, you need some paper records of some stuff.
For which it would probably be mostly legal work within the taxi company and about 20% smuggling. 20% smuggling illicit goods around the town or the megatropolis.
Is there tech to detect psychic power use?
To answer you as a player, I mean definitely metapscience, but not technology, but other metapscience can detect psionics. Although there is a power that allows you to hide the fact that you are a psionic.
Yeah.
Or that you are
Well,
using psionic
I don't
powers.
have that, so I
Yeah.
probably.
As for the technology, I need to double check. I don't think in vanilla books there is something like that that allows you to detect psionics. But I need to double check. I don't recall there was like a sensor like described. Technically speaking, I could air quotes homebrew and like decide that obviously because the backers of your tyrants, the High Sky faction, offered some technology, and one of it is a psionics scanner for psionics. But even if I use that, it wouldn't be like a large cover area. It would be used like Have you played Prototype, any of you? The first one?
Not a lot.
I mean, at some point,
Not a.
there was this like a scanner that had like a small radius, and if you got closer, it started beeping because it was detecting you are the infected, or rather, you are the source of the infection. Yeah, I'm looking through it. So I think I will turn this question around, because this will determine, like, it might add another layer to the challenge. Do you want your enemy to have psychic detecting technology? Obviously not used everywhere, but if you will say yes, then obviously they will be used like protecting the most vital targets.
I would say yes.
Okay.
I'd have no problem with that.
I'll just say you're the one that doesn't have psychic powers.
All right. Enemy has access to psionic detection.
I was thinking that I probably do a lot of the more, like, you probably are using the mafia to help hide me, in which case I probably have to do a lot of the more legal stuff.
Yeah, because you don't have that much money, so favor for a favor.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. Okay, and one more question would be, and yeah, we can discuss about that all together as players, not only as characters. We have the vaguely end goal of this mini campaign. Uh, do you have any like ideas or suggestions? What would be the first move to achieve that goal? Like what your characters or you might be thinking that, okay, we have vague idea what you want to do as completion, but like what do we do first to achieve that?
Well, first would probably amass some form. Amass some form of support or arsenal that we could use. And to do that, we would probably need money or credits.
Or that's true, or maybe expand on the idea of contacts and maybe just aiding one of your contacts that can get you contraband, or maybe doing a favor for them that they will be
Yeah.
willing to go extra length for you and give you stuff.
And then possibly find somebody inside the palace that would be able that would be willing to help us.
Yeah, that's for later because that might be tougher and that might actually require you. That definitely, I mean, basically, yeah, for that specific idea, you definitely will be doing like skill checks for connect. So you can think about that, like at least put some points when doing the level up, because the skill checks will start coming in handy. And yeah, I'm getting an idea. Maybe for the arsenal, maybe like do like a bigger job, like heavier job for the criminal element. Because I'm starting to think that would be actually the question for your characters and yourself. Do you give the okay, I will ask differently. Does the mafia, the criminal element, however we call them, will they be able to ask you for heavier jobs? Heavier as in not smuggling, but actually taking someone out, or maybe multiple someones.
Ooh. I don't know about Ivo, but Wedge would probably be a bit more hesitant about this. He knows that it is for the greater good, but I don't see him as having killed somebody before.
All right, and
He's
maybe
mostly been dodging around physical combat or direct combat.
okay. Mostly the idea was to okay, this is mostly info for the players, but the idea would be that the idea that I'm slowly forming, that the idea that is slowly forming around my head, for the step, like you said that you probably want to get like bigger arsenal to get some weapons. So my idea was like that started forming around my head is that the criminal element suggested that if you do the heavier job for them, like the bigger favor, they will be willing to go extra length for you and like give you some like leave you some additional tools, toys for you to use in terms of like weapons and equipment, because you will prove that you have proven yourself in like fight. And the target would be a rival group, not somebody innocent or something like that, just criminal rivals.
I would say that Ivo would probably be willing to do that because he probably has killed people trying when he escaped, and
Oh
they
yeah,
probably made him kill people to train his psychic powers.
because you don't have any skill ranks in sneak, right? No.
I do not, but I
Yeah.
can teleport.
Yeah, but teleportation works on line of sight. So the way I get it, that you probably didn't sneak out. You had to. I mean, partially sneak, but you definitely had to kill, or maybe you thought you disabled them, but yeah, they actually died on your way out.
I mean, my weapon is literally a telekinetic blade.
Yeah. Unless, because we are doing this brainstorming, because as I said, this is like one idea I had that can like start the proper session, that you basically working towards acquiring more equipment by doing some odd job or something like that. Or maybe you have another idea. Maybe you'll try to steal some from somebody, or maybe if it's only you, maybe you'll try to ambush like a smaller patrol.
It is somewhere I've been, or somewhere I can see unaided.
Yeah, for teleportation, right?
And I think there is something that lets me.
Yeah, there is a
improve
power
on that.
later that allows you to basically that
Oh, there it is, deep intrusion.
yeah.
It's like I knew there was a way to do that. Like I knew you could go
Yeah,
through
but
walls.
it's slightly
but-
higher level.
Yes, that's significantly higher level actually to do it blind.
Yep. But yeah, how do you feel about these ideas? Like, do we agree that the first step for your actions would be like, trying to procure equipment, whatever way possible?
Mm-hmm.
Zach?
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that from this, or I mean, yeah, but that's the case. Can we go with the mission from the mafia or the criminal element? Go with this idea, or think of something else? Or maybe just leave in your hands, like how do you want to go at this, and I will just improvise, swing it when the snowball effect will start going from your actions.
Sorry.
I'm always a fan of taking it as it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I will have that one idea in the back of my head, but I think the next proper session will start with you. Yeah, basically having a end goal, having like a first step objective, so getting more equipment so we can actually pull this off, and we will go from there. Because I think
Yeah.
I think we've just talked about most of the stuff that was needed,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think we can call this at this point. I imagine you will be. Yeah, just to confirm, are you fine for the next week? Same time and hour?
Nope. I don't like you guys. Yeah, that's fine. Fucking with you.
Yeah, I know.
Good.
Sometimes. Anyways, you, Simon?
I'm almost
Yeah,
always fucking with you.
I'm good as well.
Okay.